We were talking about yesterday where a lot of times people go from one location to two, and what happens is you find yourself not making more money, right? And one of the strengths to that is leadership. And I think a lot of it, we're going to go over that. That's what we're going to deep dive into right now today. So it doesn't matter if your team size is, whatever the case may be, leadership plays a role in scaling a business, right? The fact of the matter is the name of the game in scaling a business is you want to get other people to build your company. That's the game at the end of the day. That's where they talk about mission, vision, values. Like, why do you get the values alignment? What we were talking about yesterday is, if you get the values alignment, ideally, you believe the same thing, right? And we're going to talk about that. We're actually going to do something super cool today after we get through the first part that's going to give you guys some real value. Hey guys, how you doing? My name's Joey Batista. I'm an active 9-figure entrepreneur. Listen, inside this video, I'm gonna share with you the tips and tricks, the real life examples that I use growing and scaling companies today. Listen, I'm not an influencer. I'm an entrepreneur with a passion for sharing what I've learned over the last 3 decades. And it's a privilege for me to share it with you here today. Has anybody in here ever done a personality test?
Yes.
Right, you done a personality test? Well, today we're gonna go through a strengths test. There's a better way to do it, right, with strengths. And the reason why I like that, to kind of give you what to expect. But the thing that's good about strengths is, and I want to save it so when we go in there, but one of the things that's really big is, personality tests tell you one thing, but strengths get you to work on what you're good at. One of the biggest lessons I learned as an entrepreneur, and unfortunately I learned it too late, is one of my main mentors, who was a really, really good mentor, but everything I do, I always look for opportunity. In myself or whatever, I'm like, it was good to what point? At what point did it break? And the point that it broke is he held me in things that I just didn't want to do for too long. Like, there were things like it didn't make sense because I have talents in other areas, just like all of you. We have talents in other areas. So there's things that you can wake up every day and do that you love, and you can do them well. And there's no amount of time, like if you work 70 hours a week on your strengths towards your dream, you don't get tired or fatigued or burned out. Right? What burns you out and what fatigues you and what gets you to lose is when you're working and you're not working on your strengths. As you're going in to build a team, you have to realize this is your business, okay? And nobody's gonna work as hard on your business as you do, nor should they, okay? So it's the first thing is you have to have a realistic expectation. So when you're working with people, one of the easiest ways to get their engagement is now engagement's another story, but if you start out with their strengths, and you get them doing what they like to do, it's easier to get it. Otherwise, what happens is you can spend a year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years trying to correct behaviors that you'll never be able to correct in somebody, okay? I've been doing this 30 years, okay, and running 9-figure companies for most of it, okay? And I can tell you that one of the biggest mistakes that I learned from my mentor was trying to round out my skill set. And what happens when we learn something from a mentor? We turn around, that's what we teach. So we go in and we teach it. So one of the hardest things that I did on my team is I went and I asked things of them that I shouldn't have, right? Instead of spending the time finding what they're great at and putting them in those roles, I was spending time working with them. And ultimately at the end of the day, what happened was they would burn out. And I had all this time in with them, because I work with people, right? I go deep with people. I spend a lot of time with them. If I'm bought into somebody, and what I realized was the biggest mistake that we make to that is we hire people that we like, or the people that we retain are people that we like. And what you have to do is you have to become obsessed with being around people that want to grow, because their growth is your growth, right? You grow together, right? And at the same point in time, you have to learn how to respect people and I wish I'd learned this earlier in life. Instead of going in and condemning people for what they're not, you have to be able to go in and promote them for what they have. Now, that's not saying, when we go back to, and I'm kind of giving you guys a recap, the values alignment matters, because if we don't believe the same things, this is going to fall off page, right? So the thing is if we have people operating within their strengths and we have the values alignment, there's no amount of work we can put into them and lose. But if it's the opposite and we don't have the values alignment and we have them working outside of their strengths, there's no amount of work that we can spend with them that they will catch up to. They will never want it. You're like, I just need hungrier people. I just need them to be hungrier. My values are development, excellence, leadership, teamwork, accountability. Last one's results, right? Because if you have all 5 and we don't have results, then it doesn't really matter. It has to be results both ways. You have to see results in your life getting better, we have to see ultimately at the end of the day, we need to see that financial statement improving. If your results don't quantify to $1 at the end of the day, it's just a story. It's not real. And the thing is in business, you have to remove the emotions from it, right? You have to remove the emotions because unless you're celebrating, right? And I got that actually from Brandon Dawson, right? Brandon Dawson says there's no room for business, there's no room for emotions in business unless you're celebrating. And it's the truth, because what happens is, if you think about it, when you're working in your companies, 80% of the time you're negotiating emotions. And that's why I'm so big on how to communicate it, because here's the thing, a lot of you taking leadership classes, training classes, and everything. It's like the Starbucks CEO, right? Starbucks had a CEO that was like the #1 consultant in the world. They put him in to be a consultant in the company, and then ultimately they hired him to be CEO. He had never ran a company, okay? He had never ran a company. They put him in Starbucks. He lost $20 billion or something like that in valuation. They brought in the guy from Chipotle. Overnight, the company goes and creates millions of dollars in value because they knew what the guy had done, and at the same point in time, he did the results to go in there and do it. That piece that you're looking for is the implementation. See, when I'm going, this is where you got to really pay attention. Like yesterday when I was talking, you know, and you guys are obviously the more serious people because you're here today. But yesterday when I was talking, a lot of that stuff, people just let it go right over their head, right? Well, this doesn't matter. This doesn't apply to me. Well, it does if you want to grow and scale a company. And even if that scaling a company means you have one location or one thing that you want to optimize, and you want to be able to go into it and actually have it be a business instead of a job. Instead of it ringing the bell every day for you, it's giving you the quality of life that you want. It's a predictable engine for generating net worth for both you and your family and future generations. If your business isn't doing that for you, chances are you don't have a business, you have a job. Hey guys, if you found value in this video, share it with somebody in need. Listen, these videos are a series all brought together that can teach you the real life example. So if you liked it, follow the other video. And one of my favorite things that I learned to say was, when I was younger, when I went through yesterday, I was talking about my rise, right? I had a $20 million net worth I had built in my 20s, right? With no high school education or anything, right? Like I basically got a GED. But I learned everything and I obsessed and studied what was available. Keep in mind, I was studying very slow and moving very fast because the internet wasn't there yet. So the reality of the information, now it's the opposite. Everybody has information overload, but you don't know what to execute on at what time. You can watch a million YouTube videos, but if you don't have somebody that's done it before sitting in and saying, pull this lever right now. I'm not saying it's going to be 100%, but if you're not testing levers in your business, you're not going to be able to do it. And at the same point in time, when you test those levers, you're equally going to be able to go in and have the people that are there get tested as well. That's where your engagement comes. Great people, can't we all agree that great people want to be tested? They want to be challenged. They want an opportunity to be seen, heard. They want to be a contributor. They want to know that they create results. For me, results are huge. If I can't get them to see results, then I'm not going to be happy with it, right? I'm not going to be fulfilled. So that's one of the really big things. We'll go through, we'll talk about leadership, but the pieces that most people brush off, except for when people get really serious and they really, really want to grow. If you can, no matter where you're at in size, if you can get these pieces of the puzzle right early, it's going to gain you a lot of momentum down the road. It's going to remove a lot of friction, and it's going to make it a lot more enjoyable. And what happens when all that happens? Equally, it becomes more profitable, right? See, all these things, you have to understand some of these things you'll go and you're like, well, that doesn't really matter, and everybody's focused on the here and now and making money. But understand one thing about me. There's nothing that I will say in business. There's no detail. There's not one word, not one lesson, not one thing that I will talk about at the end of the day that's not going to quantify to money. Hey guys, if you found value in the video today and you'd like to see more of them, like, subscribe, or share now.